You may have seen this video from the iPhone 17 launch. And while this superfan is the first person who left the store with an orange iPhone, he was not the first guy in line to get one. You see, the iPhone launch at an Apple store is quite the spectacle and production, especially at Apple's flagship New York City store on 5th Avenue. There are lots of cheers from staff as the doors open and the CEO Tim Cook comes out, and the first customers get to shake hands and take selfies with him. But our famous friend in orange was not the first customer, as you may assume. He was actually 13th in line. And just a moment after he got to greet Tim Cook and walked into the store, well, he turns right back out to hold the brand new cosmic orange iPhone Pro in the air, posing for the cameras. And that's a photo you see on Apple's newsroom, and it's the image that gets in newspapers across the country. It's all made to look candid, as if he's the first fan of the day to run out of the store eager. Now, it is fun, he's wearing orange and he loves the orange iPhone, but this performance is all part of the story Apple helps craft for the public to see. Now, don't get me wrong, the guy, he is a true fan, but he told me when he went in to pick up his order, Apple offered him the opportunity to go back outside to hold up the iPhone for a photo op. Now, as a reporter, I go pretty much every year to capture the whole performance, and I like to interview the first fans in line. And this year, it happened to be these fellas, who waited as early as 9 p.m. the night before. We took some selfies together, but what you may not know is that the first guy in line, he goes by Carey. He picked up a silver-colored iPhone, not orange. And you may not know that right as the doors were about to open, protesters were chanting right next to everyone, close enough for Tim Cook to see signs criticizing Apple for not doing enough to safeguard children from content on apps. You see, Apple's always good at framing the story around its new iPhones, but the big launch celebration that you see on your social media feed is, to me, not so much the beginning of an era, but more of a grand finale of Apple's big iPhone 17 launch show. Because now that the iPhone is out in the wild and in the hands of customers, Apple can't really control the messaging around these new devices anymore. And as we saw this week, when anyone can get their hands on an iPhone, well, the story, it gets a little dinged up. It loses its luster, and frankly, it can get a little ugly. I'm Bridget Carey, and this is One More Thing, your weekly show on all things Apple. So let's go over what the first week has been with Apple's new iPhones and what really happens inside the flagship Apple store on a launch day. An iPhone event is kind of fascinating at the major Apple stores. And in New York City, you get a bunch of the Apple executives who stop by the store to take selfies and give autographs to fans. Some fans asked for autographs on iPhone boxes. One person asked for their Apple credit card to be signed.
I don't think I've ever signed one of these.
At one point, Tim Cook was chatting with New York Knicks player Jalen Brunson, who got orange because Knicks. Orange, yeah, makes sense. The whole thing is like a character meet and greet at the magic kingdom of tech, and the only thrill ride is seeing what happens to your credit card bill. Now, when I went, I also picked up both a Pro and an Air, because Apple set this whole thing up like a choice for super fans. Do you go Pro or do you go Air? And inside and outside the store, you see these giant word sculptures that say Pro and Air. What side are you on? Are you with the performance? Are you with the thin design? Now, I've only used these for a few days so far, but it is definitely a little weird holding the Air. It felt too thin to be a real productivity tool, and it doesn't always feel natural to hold. Like, the fact that it was so light meant it felt harder to control sometimes, but I can appreciate that Apple is really trying new things with the form and design here, especially by cramming all of the computing stuff up in this camera bump. You can sort of see the direction of where tech is heading in its evolution when phones are getting thinner to eventually become folding phones. I took both the Air and the Pro phones with me on a family nature hike this past weekend, and within moments of capturing video, it was so crystal clear that the lighter design is in no way worth losing out on the better cameras of the Pro. Now, with the Air, it's no surprise that the camera's limited. I mean, you just see one lens here. You only get a 2x zoom. But on the Pro, There's an option for a quick jump to a form of an 8x zoom, and it does a decent job even if you're far away. And then you can go ultra wide with a 0.5 angle lens, and that's so much fun for shooting. Now, depending on what you're doing, you can get everything in the shot or just get up close with the small details. The Air costs almost the same as the Pro, but it doesn't have as large of a battery, and the camera is lacking different angles, and the phone doesn't have the features to keep it cooler when it does heavy processing. So why are we considering this as a worthy iPhone option for people who are serious Apple fans? Is it just to have a new look? Let's go back to the Apple Store. The signage and the layout all around the store makes it look like the Pro and the Air are equals this year. Just different style choices, right? But in no way does it seem worth it to me to get an Air with its limitations. If you care about cutting-edge looks, aren't you also someone who cares to make sure you have the best photos and video? And why would you pay $1,000 to have a limited camera without a wide-angle lens? But this iPhone Air, it does have one nice advantage going for it right now. It has a titanium frame and a build that can withstand pressure without bending. I had it in my bag with just a bumper case, and it did get scratched a tiny bit. But as for the Pro, well, it also can get scratched. It's currently under attack on social media for how easy it is to accidentally scratch the paint job and ding it when you drop it. And you can see the scratches easier with these bolder orange and blue colors. The new iPhone 17 Pro line is not made of titanium like past phones. It's made of aluminum. Aluminum. It is a material that is better at dispersing heat and keeping the phone cooler, but owners are posting on social media about how this Pro material is prone to nicks. No report yet if the nicks are seeing nicks. The internet has dubbed this problem as scratchgate because if you rock the iPhone 17 Pro without a case, it's going to easily get scuffed up, especially if you throw it in a bag with other hard objects like coins or keys. Once again, not titanium like last year's model. But of course, like anything you see on social media, scratch videos might not always be showing the full picture. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these scratches we see on Apple Store phones are from customers trying to scratch it on purpose. Nevertheless, it is clear you need a case to keep this Pro phone looking fresh, but maybe not a clear case. You might need to get a little creative about how to style a bright orange model. The clear Apple case does have a big white block on the back, so it's not clear, and frankly, I think it looks lame. I have been using the new Apple Tech Woven case, which has this fabric feel for $60, and I paired it with a bright orange Apple magnetic crossbody strap. And the strap also costs $60, so it's not cheap. But it is my favorite option, at least, of what Apple sells in the store. Just be aware, not every case Apple sells will work with the crossbody strap. There is a silicone case. It does have little hole cutouts, so you can connect it to the strap. But when I was shopping around the Apple Store, I did see some models of clear cases that were not compatible, and Beats cases also didn't have the holes for straps. But if you're wondering, that bumper case for the Air, yeah, it also has an ability to use the straps. Now, outside of Apple, you're gonna find cheaper case options. This Case Coup design is a bit of a smudge and fingerprint magnet, but it only costs $30, and it's so fun and shiny. So hit me up in the comments if you found a case design that you liked. I mean, I'm all for orange and blue, but maybe you're rocking the Master Chief aesthetic. Let me know what aspects of Apple's new gear you like to see us put to the test next. You know, Apple's new Watch Series 11 is something that I've been wearing, and it can warn me of high blood pressure, but only if I show signs of hypertension after 30 days of wearing it. So it may take a while before we start hearing folks talk about receiving those types of health warnings. But until then, I hope you all stay healthy. Let me know your experiences with the new iPhones, and I'll catch you next week for one more thing.